And we're live.
Hello, everybody.
So we are doing our live show for From Blood and Ash. Super excited.
Boy, this book.
I know it was a roller coaster. I think I'm just like slightly in a little bit of a reading slump, so I had trouble like kind of getting into the story, but I feel like if I was not in a reading slump, I would have just like flown through it.
Okay, counterpoint.
Oh
This book
gosh.
put me in a reading slump. Like, I was
What?
having an amazing
No.
reading month in January, and like February, I like tried to get into this, and then that
No.
killed it. And I was like,
Was it just because it's slow starting a new epic fantasy? Well, I guess is this considered epic fantasy?
not epic fantasy, it's just technically this is in Barnes and Noble, this is in the romance
Romance.
section.
Okay, well, I'm gonna use epic as an adjective versus like anyways.
It's a high
So
fantasy.
okay,
Yeah.
starting a new high fantasy, you have so much world building. It's a little bit slower, especially in the first book. So I could understand. Like I had trouble getting into it, and it wasn't until like 50% of the way through that I was like, okay, now this is getting really, really good.
Okay, so here's my thoughts.
Oh no.
It's very similar to like people recommend this book being like for fans of Sarah J. Maas, read this.
I get
So
the vibes of Sarah J. Maas.
and they're friends too. So like it
Yeah.
makes sense. With that being said, like I'm glad I knew that going into this because of how like Throne of Glass and Akatar, both of those books
Or
are
the
they're the weakest.
weaklings.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, like I'm prepared to not like this one as much. And that's why I'm like, this was not my favorite, but I think I'm gonna love the series.
Yes. Or
And
like
so
Crescent City.
yeah,
Apparently the second one is amazing.
yeah. So I'm prepared going like went into that going through it,
Mhm.
but that still I mean, it was rough going for like a while.
Aw. What was like getting at you? Was it just the whole story in general?
Listen, I will say I enjoyed this book. It's not gonna seem like it here in a minute. The writing style of this book was not done well. Like I like the characters, I like the premise of it, like it gets better. I'm not the biggest fan of this writing style because
Okay.
she assumes that you are just gonna figure it out, and that's one of my biggest pet peeves is like when an author can't figure out how to explain something to you, like you need to work on your craft. Like
Okay.
don't throw me into the beginning of the book with zero explanation, and then the only way to explain yourself is by having the main character ask all of these questions in the world that she's in. You got to figure out a different way to explain it to me. Like
Okay, that's
why
fair.
would she be asking all of these questions? And
As if like
apparently,
she should already know.
yes. Like this is her world that she's been grown up in. Like why would she just be
Right.
finding out these things at like 17, 18?
Fair.
So, and I've heard it's the same issue in book 2. Like the Poppy just continues to ask question after question after question. It's like, yo, like haven't you figured this out by now? Like, and I get that's how the author is world building.
Mhm.
Find a better way. Like
That's fair.
like have it be that we run into elders and they tell us of like tales that they pass down to their children like around the campfire. Like I would rather have that be a world dump or like an info dump
Hmm.
than like a person who should already know the story, like know the basic things in this world.
Yeah. So then how did you feel about the well, we haven't even gotten into our ratings, but how did you feel about the conversation that they had in the cell when
That's
he
way
was telling
better.
his story?
Way
Okay,
better
I
because
liked
that
that
was
too.
all like coded in secrecy. And
Right.
so it
And
was like challenging her
right.
opinions on what she already thought she knew what was happening.
Okay.
That's totally fine. I'm talking like I mean, even you and I have like briefly touched on this before we started this, but like live show, obviously,
Yeah,
is that we were so lost on
we
what the
were.
different words were, and like
Yes.
there was no explaining that, and I
Yeah.
didn't love that.
Yes, I was really confused, and like Kevin kept telling me, just read the book, just read the book. It's gonna get explained. It's gonna get explained. But I don't want it to be explained to me at like 90%.
Right. And like especially if you're like I'm trying to immerse myself into this world and if I'm like I don't know what the fuck is going on,
Yeah.
I'm like I don't know the difference between these, it's hard to pay
Yes.
attention. It like takes you out of it.
Which is how I got spoiled because I was so confused that I went and I Googled. And so did I tell you what my spoiler was?
No.
Okay, guys, spoilers. We're getting into spoilers from Blood and Ash. But I got spoiled that he was the prince.
Oh, I called that though,
Okay,
like from the beginning.
okay. Oh, sorry, my mic. I need a new headphone. My mic is like, let me know if it starts to cut out or if it's like crackling.
You're good.
Um, but see, the thing is like when I had just been introduced to Hawk and he had just become her guard when I got spoiled with that. So it's like I hadn't even gotten a chance to like get through the book. And like, yeah, now that I've read it, I'm like, okay, because like I told Kevin, I was like, dang it, I got spoiled for this. And he was like, oh, that sucks. But he was like, but you know what? They like really allude to that he's like something's going on with him. Like he can find her. He found her in the library. He can track her. He's really fast. He's really strong. So like something alludes that like he's not like and like they always say
The
like,
everyday guard.
yeah, and they say like, what is a young guy like a young guard that's been here for a couple months? How is he so high up? And then and then the way he talks, she even says it talks like he talks like he's not of this, like he's older than he
Era. Yeah.
seems. Exactly. So like I guess it wasn't like a massive spoiler, but like you wouldn't have known that when he became her guard. You know what I mean? Like that's not something that you would have expected already.
Don't kill me.
Oh, you don't like Hawk, or you already knew?
I guess that the first interaction they had in the hotel room.
Really? That he was the Prince of Atlanteans?
Yeah.
We didn't even know
He
what
was
Atlanteans were yet.
I knew that he was going to be on the opposite side. Like it's too tropey. Like it's the darkling. It's shadow and bone shit. Like it was too much to like I was like,
Okay.
duh.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe like I'm just out of sorts. Maybe I haven't read enough like fantasy now, like just in
But
general,
like
that
think
I'm
of it
like,
like compare it to Shadow and Bone.
but we always, oh god, I hate Shadow and Bone. I don't want to compare it to Shadow and Bone.
I'm
Shadow and Bone was
okay,
so bad.
but compare it to the Darkling, like
I guess I'm
Darkling and Elena.
I guess
Like
I'm comparing it more to like, oh shoot, I don't want to spoil anything with Akatar. I'm comparing him to, okay, so it's weird because like the Darkling is always I don't want to spoil anything. Okay. So
just
like
tune out here if you have been
with
like have
okay,
not
so
read
with with him, he's good, he's bad, he's good. But he's bad for being for his reasons.
for
You know what I mean?
Darkling.
Like once what?
For the Darkling or for
No,
a
no,
Hawk?
for her Hawk. I guess
You don't think that
Cass.
you don't think that applies to both of them?
No, because the Darkling is just evil.
But he has his own set of morals that he follows.
Yeah, but like, so okay, so this is where I'm going at with Akamath. The bad guy is not really the bad guy because
Because he
of,
operates on his own set of morals.
well, and also like once things are explained, we realize he's not really the bad guy. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. And I feel like this is going to be Hawk or Cass. I feel like that's going to be him.
I think it already is.
Right, exactly. I see more similarities between him and Akatar character versus the Darkling.
I think all three of those tropes can that can explain all three of them.
Okay, fair. That's fair. Okay. I hated Shadow and Bone so much.
But you liked the You liked it later, like, it just started off bad.
No, I never liked any of them. Remember I said I would have DNF'd it if it wasn't a book club? Like, I would
I
have
do remember that, but I thought
yeah.
you liked one of the I thought you liked the first book.
The first one was okay, but the second and the third just, like, went downhill.
Yeah. What about the
Pretty
show? Think about the show versus
The
the books.
show is still, like, Elena's perspective. Like, the only reason the show was amazing was because of, King
The
Six
Six
of
of Crows
Crows.
characters,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, well, I still think
Okay,
there's
fair.
a lot of reasons why I was comparing to
Okay.
the Darkling,
Well,
like,
this okay, now if you're comparing it to The Darkling, I can see why you didn't like this book as much.
I liked it, don't get me wrong, but it was
Or, like, it
so
slumped you.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
I
was
could understand that.
I needed more explanation into it, and I get that, like,
Yeah.
some books do that and just expect you to follow along. Those
Yeah.
books are not for me. I get people love those books that are like, "Figure it out," like, "You're coming to my world, you figure it
See,
out."
I guess
I disagree.
I don't mind those as much, but maybe I'll pay more attention to book 2 with that. Um,
My problem with that is I'm like, you are having to explain the story to me. I
yeah,
should not have to work to figure out your world. Like,
yeah,
that to me means you are not writing it well enough if I
that's fair.
can't understand it. Like, if I'm lost and
Yeah,
confused, unless it's like a mystery when they're trying to keep you confused. But like, I don't think she was trying to keep us confused between the different Ascension, Atlantean, like all the
yeah,
different
the
terminology in
Craven.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, and, like, now I get it. Well, I still don't even understand what the right is. Like, I think it's when they take the 3rd and 4th sons and daughters?
So the right is when she becomes an ascended. So they call it the right, but it's basically like she gets taken back into this castle and then she gets fed this blood from like she has to
Okay.
drink, and that's what they are considered the right is when she kills and
Interesting, because, like, when they were remember, like, the scene where, like, that couple brings their newborn, their 3rd newborn, and they're
mhm.
like, "We want you to ask the gods," and then they're like, "Well, we can't, like, deny the gods of the right, like, you will give up your at the right, you will give up your sons and your daughter,
So
or your son." That's why I
yeah.
was, like, really confused.
So that's for the ascension. So when
Got it.
for when they
Who's
give up
ascending?
their she was supposed to be ascending.
No, she doesn't ascend until she was 19. That was not her day.
Yes. But, like, that's what the whole thing was around her ascension,
So it was like a party?
not a party. They, like that's where it's, like, all secretive, they don't know what actually like, the people don't know what actually happens, um, at the ascension
Mhm.
because it's all secretive, that's
But
when
she
they take it
wasn't
back into the
actually
castle.
ascending that day.
Right.
Okay.
So, what they are giving up their children for is that you're supposed to, like, send your children to go work with the gods and help the
Mhm.
gods.
Mhm.
And so you're basically, like, giving up your kids and they go work for the
Mhm.
gods, like, in their name or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, but no one ever sees them again
Yeah. That
because they're
triggered
being
me.
murdered.
That triggered me.
Yeah. After I realized what was going on, like, and that's what was happening, I was like, "Oh shit, Gabby."
Yeah.
I was
Luckily,
like,
it was like they don't talk about it and we don't see it. It's just like a quick like, well, we don't know what's happening with them. Like we assume this is
"Well,
well, I mean, we do. Like they assume that they're being used. They're sacrificed essentially. But like it's kind of like a quick
Well,
and
go
so it,
into it guarded because you know that we're going into the second book trying to get into the castle to save the brother. So we're probably
that's
going to
fair.
see
That's
things
fair.
like that
Yeah,
to confirm it for her.
that's fair. Yeah.
So just be aware.
Yeah, yeah. That's fair. Yeah. Um should we go into our ratings?
Yeah, go ahead. What's your rating?
I really liked it. I gave it a 5. Or a
I
4.5. I gave it a 5 on Goodreads. I think I might do a 4.5, but I always round up on Goodreads. Like if it's a point 0.5 or a 0.75, I round up.
So I'm probably at like a 3.75, but I rounded it
Oh,
to a 4
okay.
because I didn't like how so
That's
much
fair.
was not explained, and I
That's fair.
didn't get like, another pet peeve of mine is, like, and I get it, this is some styles.
Yeah.
Brandon Sanderson is very well known for this, is that we see little blips throughout the whole story, and then everything goes bananas at the end, and
Um,
I don't like that. I think it's bad pacing. I get that that's people like that pacing. For
yeah,
me, that's bad pacing because I'm like, I want things more evened out because I'm not hooked until the end, and then I'm
that's
like,
fair.
now I want to go into the second one, which is
That's
great, but
yeah, and you know what? Like that's why I was like debating between giving it a 4 and a 5 because I'm like the pacing did bother me because like when we got I was like 75% of the way through and we were like heading towards the castle. We were at the point where we are like going on horseback and we were heading towards the castle and I was talking to Kevin and I was like, okay, first of all, I was like awaiting the spoiler and I we hadn't gotten there yet. And then he told me that like a lot happens, like you learn because I kept asking him like I don't understand the Craven, the Atlantean, and he was like, "Don't worry, it's gonna explain it. It's gonna explain it. Just keep reading." They hadn't gotten to that part yet, and I was just like, they hadn't even gotten to how the girl was murdered yet, and like all of these things, and I was like, okay, I am like on chapter 37 out of 41, and like
yeah,
literally everything just happened. It was just like a bomb that fell. But I did really like the castle scene with like the riot and where she like
yeah,
um
just goes feral.
yeah, I really liked that scene. I did feel like there were some like decent like there were a few little action scenes sprinkled throughout. But yes, I do agree like the pacing. Maybe now that we have a
Context.
foundation,
Yeah.
book 2 will be paced more evenly.
Here's hoping.
Because I feel like Throne of Glass was a little bit like that as well. It was kind of like all dumped at the end. Same with Crown of Midnight. Crown of
Yep.
Midnight, everything kind of got dumped at the very end as well. But then with like the remaining of the books, it's like more evenly spaced out.
Yep. Yeah, she got better with her pacing. Yeah.
Um, and I mean, this isn't her debut novel, but is this her like only fantasy? She wrote the Lux series.
Well, she's got several
She's
fantasies.
got several like fantasy books. Really? Okay. Is this her first like adult fantasy?
Nope.
Really? Okay. Okay.
I know you're trying to like throw a bone. It's not.
Because like Throne of Glass is that's Sarah J. Maas's like debut novel, right? Yeah. And then she wrote like those. She wrote that one and Crown of Midnight, and then I think she wrote Akatar. So like those first three, like you can really see a different style when she starts Air of Fire. Like Air of Fire, and then I think she wrote those first two. Then she wrote Throne of Akatar.
I thought it was further into Throne of Glass, but
Really?
I could be wrong. I don't know what the publication series is. But even as like Garrow is going through reading these,
Yeah.
because he's gone through. I mean, he's going through Throne of Glass series right now. He's almost done, and we're
Mhm.
going through Akatar series together. He's like, you
Yeah.
can definitely tell the difference between her writing styles between this series and this
Oh
series
yeah.
because the Throne of Glass series, she does a lot of uh tell not show, and we see a lot more in the like. He's like, it's still an issue in Akatar series, but it's not as bad
Yeah.
as Throne of Glass. I'm like, yeah, that's fair.
So, oh,
Are you
you're
looking at
right.
publication?
She wrote Akatar after Air of Fire.
Yeah. But it
And
was after
then
Air of Fire,
it was after Air of Fire, but I'm pretty sure it's before Queen of
Queen of
Shadows.
Shadows.
Let me see. I think Queen of Shadows 20. Yes, it was after Queen of Shadows.
It was after Queen of Shadows.
Sorry, before.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. But actually, you know what? It was published. That doesn't necessarily meant that it was what if she wrote it before it was published? She could have had her manuscript and just sat on it.
Yeah, but you're constantly always like editing it through
That's fair.
things and
That's
stuff
fair.
like that.
That's fair. Anyways, this isn't
Yeah,
but
serious tangent. But
um
that's why I'm rating it like a bit lower because of the pacing issues for me.
And I think as we get older, our expectations are different. You know,
Yeah,
like, if I had read this when I was, what, 16, 17, I would've been like,
obsessed.
"Yes,
Yep,
yes." Reading it in our 30s or, late 20s, early 30s, where
almost 30.
girl, I'm turning 32. No. Um, we have, like, higher expectations, especially
And I
since
think, like, we've just read more so we know what to compare it to.
yeah, and we've read some really, really amazing fantasy books.
True. Yeah. So do we wanna talk about things that surprised us? Because I think we both like this series, and I think this is gonna be a good series for us to experience together,
Yeah,
like we did Throne of Glass,
yeah,
and
I do too.
I'm excited to keep going.
Me
There's
too.
a lot of good in here, but I think that there's so much hype that the expectation was, like,
Right.
also high.
A little bit, yeah. So I personally love I don't know if there's a word for it, but I love the trope where we think the bad guy is just bad, but actually this is really what's happening. I really like that trope where like the main character's world kind of gets turned upside down and everything that she or he thought was happening is this is really happening. So the queen is actually bad and this is really what's happening. And like kind of like Kevin was reminding me, he was like, think of it as like a little bit of like underworld, like, you think the
Mm,
lichens are bad, but then, like, when you hear their story, you realize, "Wait a second, like, it's not."
things are not as they seem.
Yes,
Yeah.
I really like that trope. So, when they're in the cell and he's, like he and he talks about his, like, brand and that he had been,
Abused.
captured and they just, like, drained him for his blood, I was like, "Wait, what?" And then the fact that the, um Ascended are the ones creating the Craven. I loved that. I really, really liked it. So, I think that's what saved this book for me, was that.
So, which parts were you surprised by?
Um, I was
Like,
really
what twists?
honestly, all of it. I was not expecting okay, so I assumed the Ascended weren't good, actually.
Mhm.
Like, I
Yep.
was like, "They're not gonna be good. They're not good. They're"
After
I
we've seen them treat her like shit, like, we're
Mhm.
like, "Okay, you guys are clearly bad."
Yeah, yeah, so and, like, the whole, like, their eyes are black and then she can't sense their feelings.
Yep.
I knew something was there. I didn't think that they were turning cravens. I like, that was a surprise. Then the whole, Atlanteans, like, they have to drain Atlantean to use their blood to turn as Ascended, or Vampires, I guess, which I can't handle that name.
Yeah.
That surprised me and I really liked it. Um,
So, I
the fact that
agree.
his
I was
brother is captured right now, that really surprised me.
I was
Um,
I w did not call the vampire thing, so I'm with you on that.
yeah,
I was surprised at that one. The brother thing, I called before it happened because I was texting she had already finished by the time that I was finishing, so I was texting her while I was like, "I already figured this part out, like, this is gonna happen," and then I
yeah,
finally got to that part. So I knew about him being the prince or that he was the brother of the prince. As soon
yeah.
as we got that there was 2 of them, I was like, "That's clearly what's happening."
Well, yeah, I
Um,
think by then you're supposed to figure it out.
but we didn't know, like it wasn't, like, official that he was the prince or that he was the brother, they just kept alluding to the
Yeah.
prince or to yeah. Um, so I already guessed that he was the on the opposite side, and then once they said the dark one, I was like, "That's gonna be Hawk." Like, we already have met them, and it's the first instance we got of the dark one happening, in the garden. I was
Mhm.
like, "It's gonna be Hawk."
Yeah.
When her guard first got killed. Um, I called
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
that sucked.
I called, the Ascendant I just knew the Ascendants were bad, it wasn't something that I called, but it was just like,
You
yeah,
could
clearly
tell.
they're bad, yeah.
Yeah, obviously.
Um, now looking back, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, the vampire thing totally makes sense," but I definitely didn't call that, and I was pleasantly surprised with that twist on it.
Mhm.
I wasn't surprised with the Craven part, but I didn't call it either.
Mhm.
Like, I didn't that was never, like, entered my mind that was happening.
Yeah.
Um,
So in, like, my mind, I'm thinking, like, Vampire Academy, so the Craven are the Strigoi,
yeah,
and, the Ascended are the, Moroi.
Dampier or Moroi, yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess there's no Dompier technically, but well, I guess she's technically
Atlantean,
Dompier.
yeah.
That surprised me. Like, I assumed something was gonna be, special about her, but I did not expect half Atlantean. Like that did you? Yeah?
Um, not the end like, not that she was necessarily, like, one of them, but
Mhm.
again, it doesn't surprise me, like, it fits in with all the tropes, but I didn't call it.
Okay,
So
I
it
didn't
didn't
call it
surprise me
either.
when it came through, but I didn't call it.
Yeah, I was like so Kevin had already finished it, and I was, like, talking to him, and I was like, "Dear God, please tell me this isn't, like, a reincarnation type of story." I was gonna be so annoyed if it's like, because he talked about a love that he had a long time ago, and then when he tasted her blood, he was like, "I should have known." And I was like, "Please don't tell me this is one of those things where he, like, fell in love with a human, like, 200 years ago, and she died, and, like, now it's, like, a reincarnation." I was just not that's where my mind went. So I was very pleasantly surprised that was the opposite. It was not that because I would have just been like, no, no, no,
So,
no.
with them constantly comparing this to Sarah J. Maas, as soon as he bit the blood, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be another mate situation." How Ronan bit
Oh,
and, like, knew. You know what I'm talking about, that
that's why
scene?
he said we need to get married.
That's what I assume is, like, it's another mate
Oh,
thing.
it's good. I didn't even catch on that. That's a good theory. I like it.
'Cause why else I mean, like, you're really expecting this person who's supposed to be a man whore to not have slept or bit another one of his kind that,
Yeah.
like, he could taste their blood, like, I think it's a mate thing.
Yeah. He also dropped hints because he was like, Atlanteans don't feed on humans, but he bit her. So it shouldn't have surprised me that she was Atlantean. Um, because
I don't
like
think he knew at that point, though.
I think he suspected
Oh, really?
because he said, yeah, because he mentioned about like her touch, like her gift. He mentioned he was like, I should have known.
Mhm.
Oh, after he like I think he was like confirming his theories. I think.
See, I more took it out that he, like, bit her in rage and
I
then
don't think
tasted
so.
the blood and was like, "Oh, this is my mate, like, I should have known."
N No, because I really think he says, "I should have known once I knew that, like, you had those, um, powers." Mm,
I think you're right. I think he does say like, "Oh, I should have known," especially after seeing you with him, like when she takes the pain and stuff away.
yeah,
But I think that was not after he bit her. That was when she took his pain away.
maybe.
Like when she was healing him. That's when he said that part.
Let me see. I'm wondering if I could
But I'm convinced that the blood is gonna be like he tasted her blood and she also can we just like side tangent for a second, the
Yeah.
fact that he doesn't even ask her if she wants to get married or wants to go to this place and he's like, "You're now
Yeah,
coming with me, we're getting married," and it's like communication, my dude. Learn the techniques. Are you looking it up?
yeah. Let's see, 39. Okay, it's gonna be on okay, so he doesn't say it there. I'm pretty sure he says it because it's gonna drive me crazy.
This like it doesn't surprise me, but I was still deeply sad when Victor died.
Me too.
Especially because like the father figure thing, like, oh
Yeah.
god. And he was like, I know I'm not your dad. Like, I can't replace your dad. Ooh, do you think her parents and brother,
Oh, yeah. Good, let's go. Yeah, go on to that.
do you think, one, do you think her parents are actually dead? Or did she get taken by
I
the Ascended?
I think she saw them dead, like ripped apart.
Okay. I was gonna say, because that I could see a twist happening that like the Ascended found her, like, and hunted her down and set everything on fire and then took her away.
Mhm.
Like the fire is somehow going to be the Ascended's fault. That's my guess. And that, well, he said that he did see her brother, so he confirmed that the brother was alive,
Yes, and he
and
is
that,
ascended.
yeah. So I think that we're gonna get some type of epic battle. Also, I wonder if her brother has powers, like she has powers.
Yeah, see, I'm wondering where that comes from.
But wouldn't they have known that? Also, I wonder if he knows that he's her half brother versus full brother.
Yeah, see, I was wondering that as well.
All good things that I'm like anxious to find out.
Okay, it doesn't say. I really thought though he mentioned about her gift. He had an idea.
He does say like I have like I should have known
Yeah,
when he bit her, but I don't think at that point he was talking about her gift. I think he was talking about her blood.
maybe. That's
Because
possible.
so that's my predictions for this next book.
So, do
We
you Oh yeah, go
we
ahead.
we are gonna find out about the like we're going to go do the brother storyline,
Mhm.
and we're gonna find out about her brother. So
I think
we're
he
gonna see,
dies.
really,
Yeah, I
which
think he's
brother,
hers,
his brother or her brother?
her
Okay,
brother.
okay, but I think we're gonna see like both brother storylines,
Mhm.
um, and obviously they're gonna get married. I
Ye
want to see something with her powers. Like we've got to
yeah.
explore her powers a bit more, and I
Yeah.
am guessing that we're gonna find out that they're mates.
Yeah. We may not find out that until later, but well, okay, so I have like two theories on the family. A is half, like she is half, because we know she's half Atlantean.
Hmm.
So, or we actually don't know how much half Atlantean she is, but we know she's got some Atlantean blood. Um, so I actually have a theory that she actually isn't, like, her parents aren't her parents. That
I will riot if this is another frickin' incestual sibling situation. I will be livid
What do you
if
mean?
y'all made me read this book and they end up being some type of brother and sister, the prince and her.
Oh, no, 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 no. I think that she was, like, given to them to, like, protect or something. Like,
No, 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 I agree, but I'm talking about like Hawk or Cass
oh
and
god, I
her.
don't think I don't think that's gonna be a
I
thing.
don't know. He called her princess like from the very beginning
Well,
before he knew that he wanted her to be his princess.
I think that was just more of, like, a pet peeve because he was
We'll
like,
see.
"Well, damsel in distress, you're a princess," kinda thing. Like, gosh, I don't think so. I really don't.
Now we find out that they share the same bloodline, like, or you know what I
Well, they
mean, like the same species.
yeah. I really
I
don't I
will
don't think
riot.
I really don't think that's gonna happen. I'm okay, you know what?
Don't spoil it. Do
I
not
have
do it. No, stop looking things up. Stop it. Cuz you're going to get spoiled on her bloodline and like powers and like her whole family. Stop looking it up,
okay.
Gabby.
Okay, fine. Okay. I stopped. I don't think that's gonna happen. I really don't. I think that her dad is obviously not her dad, or her parents aren't her parents.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's really the only two options.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true actually.
Unless
Uh,
like they were left with the baby and it was her dad. I don't know how that would have worked. I don't know.
that's true. Maybe her birth mother died and her dad is her real dad.
Maybe. I think it's more likely the other two scenarios
Yeah,
though.
I agree because we don't know which one was I mean, mom could have been Atlantean or dad could have been Atlantean.
Yeah.
Uh, But that makes sense why she can't get scratched by a craven.
Mhm.
And the Ascended knew, I
Yeah.
guess, that when she couldn't turn, that her blood was Atlantean. Um,
I'm
was there
excited for the next
anything?
book.
I am too. Was there anything that you so I had a problem with like when she find out that he was like Atlantean or with the Wolven essentially, like she when she found out that he killed like Rylan and he killed the guards in
Mhm.
that barn scene, obviously she was going to be really upset. Like I don't like that he like teased her about her being, like he should have been, you know what I mean? Like he was still kind of being like sexual
Yeah,
when she's
I
like really upset.
I think
No? Did
he
did you find that
No,
like funny
I agree
banter?
with you. Like, I agree from that point of view. I think from his point of view, he's so used to killing and that's who he is that it wasn't like, I don't have to give you time to process because this is who I am. Like, I've never pretended to be anybody else. Like, I've told you that I'm good at killing. Like, I
That's
don't know
fair.
why you're
That's fair.
surprised. But I can understand, like, yeah, he should have been like, those are people she was close with.
Yeah.
But I also don't think that they knew each other that well that he would know that she got super close with his or with her guards normally and things like that.
That's fair.
Because
Well,
she's not supposed to fraternize with people.
yeah. And I mean, she wasn't um and I mean, he did not kill Victor. He did not know
Yeah.
about the riot.
Yeah.
So, I guess that's another aspect that we're probably going to learn, that the people are rioting against the Ascended. So we've got the humans, I guess they're humans, mortals,
Mhm.
rioting against the Ascended, and now we have the Atlanteans who want to take back.
Oh
And
no, my computer's dying.
oh no. Uh-oh. I think we lost Hannah. Let's see. Yeah. Oh no, we lost Hannah. Okay, well while we're waiting for Hannah to come back, just let us know, obviously what you rated the book and what you thought, and which book. Actually, I'm curious to know what book in the series is your favorite, and if you feel like the writing style progresses, improves, since that was kind of a problem for Hannah. Uh, but I'm curious to know which is your favorite so far in the series. I think we might have to just use this as a time to end the live show. So, I'm just waiting for her to text me back. Um, but I guess I wanted to also discuss. So we both listened to the audiobook and we listened to the physical. Sorry. Okay, Hannah's gonna be right back. So I read the physical book and I listened to the audiobook. I kind of did half half. The audiobook is actually very good. It's narrated well, in my opinion. It's not like a spectacular audiobook where you've got like a massive cast of characters. It's not like the Illuminae files or anything like that. But it is a good audiobook. I wasn't too annoyed with the narrator. Here we go. Hey.
Sorry guys, my
No, you're
computer
good.
just fully died, so I'm on my phone right now.
Oh, no, you're good. I was just mentioning that, we had listened to the audiobook as well as, like, read the physical, and that the audiobook is, like, decent. It's
Yeah.
not like a spectacular, multicast audiobook, but it's also not one of those audiobooks where it's super annoying and um the like like the voices and stuff.
Yeah. I would recommend people getting the audiobook if you can, and then following along with it in the book. I think we both did that, and that
Mhm.
helped a lot because I was trying to physically read it and I couldn't get through it. And because that is my like goal for 2022 is to physically read our book club books, and it was not happening for me for this one.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. But I've also been having trouble, like, we've both mentioned this, where we have trouble, like, listening to high fantasy
Yeah.
on audiobook. It's just there's too much. And when you're listening to an audiobook, it's really easy to kind of fall out of the story. Like, whether you're driving, you're paying attention to the road, or if you're doing housework, you find yourself focusing on something else. And then you like realize, wait a second, what just happened? And then you have to like rewind, and it's hard to find your spot.
Especially with a book that doesn't explain shit.
I had people, I asked for people to let us know which is their favorite so far in the series. Like if they've read the full series, which is
Yeah,
their
definitely.
favorite. Because I'm curious to know. Because if everyone's like, oh, the first one's the best one, then,
We need to curb our
ooh,
expectations.
yes, yes. But I have a feeling it's going to be, and she's not done with the series. So I have a feeling it's
Well,
going to,
it is a trilogy, but she's just now putting out
the
the
spinoff.
War with Two Queens, which is I think the second book in the sub. It's like in a second series. It's like a sister series
Interesting. Okay.
because that one's Shadow and the Ember, and then there's the War of Two Queens, which gets referenced in here. But I think there's only 3 official books in this particular trilogy, kind of like
Interesting.
ACOTAR.
Okay, but see, so with the whole like A Court of Silver Flames, in my opinion, it's a continuation. Although it's not because new perspective, I don't even think
Yeah,
it's in first person anymore. I think it's third person Nesta versus first person Feyre.
yeah,
So I guess it would be considered a sister series. But if it's like that where it like actually continues with the story, I'm okay with that.
yeah. Same. I think that's how that goes.
Yeah,
Cool.
which I'm really I think it'll be good. I think we just needed to get over the first hump of
Yeah.
first book. And hopefully there's not a second book slump.
Yes.
I don't think there will be. I don't think there will be. I
We'll
know,
see.
right? Because
We'll see.
like Akamath is the best one. I know, like, and her and Sarah J. Maas are friends, so like,
So, speaking of, while with the second one, I know this live show was a bit late from when
mhm.
our expected date was. The second one is also going to be late because we are going to celebrate our birthdays in Disney World. So, we are not going to be here at the beginning of the month for book 2.
Yeah,
So,
and
just
that
be
we have
prepared.
an
You have a little more
entire
time.
yeah, and that means we've got like a full week where we can't read.
Yes, that too.
I'm gonna try and read on the plane, but
You have like a 2-hour plane ride.
yeah, our plane ride is really short. It's like 2.5 hours. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna try and read, but I'm not gonna get much done. Um, so that's like an entire, essentially like almost 8 days of not being able to read.
Yeah.
Yeah, but uh, we will let you know when our live show for gosh, what is book 2 called?
Kingdom of Flesh and Fire.
Okay, I do like the titles.
Yeah, it's very Akatari to me
That's
though.
yeah, I like obscure titles like that. Um, yeah, I do like it. Like, it's very Akatari.
I didn't realize it, but like you can see the like that's the Victor's
Dagger.
dagger that
Oh, it's so pretty. I'm debating on buying the trilogy.
they're pretty.
They are pretty. I don't necessarily know if I would reread From Blood and Ash, but if the other ones are a reread, then I might
To
pick
have
them
the
up.
series.
They're
Yeah.
just hard to they're hard to get a hold of.
They should be in your Barnes & Noble now because there's literally a setting that
Okay.
they are making it harder to not have these in Barnes & Nobles, so
Okay.
it should be easier to
Yeah.
get a hold of.
I know. Yeah, we want on an adventure one day to look for it, and none of them had it. So, um, and I hate to just like get it on Amazon, but I can't.
Well, and like reprinting and things are a constant struggle right now
Yeah,
with stuff, so
yeah,
supply
that's
lines.
fair. Yeah.
Okay, well, I think
Alright.
that's everything. Is there anything
Mhm.
else you wanted to
Mm.
discuss?
Mm.
Cool. All right. Well, we will see you guys sometime in
In
April
April.
for book 2.
Yeah, I'm excited. All right. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.